Welcome everyone, this is Tactical Lich here, and today we are back to the battlefield of Total Warhammer 3 with the Ogre Kingdoms led by yours truly versus Rocket Rogue leading the Khorne army. So for the army build, we have a front line of Gnoblars. At the back, we have some dual weapon Ogre Bulls, backed up by some Man-Eaters with Ogre Pistols, and at the far back, some Iron Guts protecting a Scraplauncher. That's right, we are not bringing any cheese. Actually, this is one of my first Ogre games, and I was trying to see if we can replace the Iron Blasters with the Scraplauncher, utilizing the anti-infantry armor-piercing damage and do some destructive damage to the cornered infantry. As for the rest of the army, we have the Mournfang Cavalry hidden in the forest, and due to all these expensive Ogre units, I do not have any leftover funds for other mobility, so they will be my only hope in fending off the cornered mobility. As for leadership, we have a single hunter as well as a slaughtermaster with a great maul lord providing the healing and some other magic. As for my opponent here, we have a front line of cornered warriors with halberds backed up by Spawn of Khorne, as well as a couple cultists bringing in, of course, their best ability, the Bloodletter Summon. In the middle, we have a herald on the Juggernaut, ready to charge in, providing the area of effect buff, Locust of Wrath, that plus 40 melee attack boost to all nearby friendlies. We have the Fleshhounds of Khorne hidden in the forest, actually just pushing around the flanks, hoping to get around my back lines. Same on the other side, and that's it for the army builds. Let's get the battle started. As the corner army are rushing forward to the battlefield, and my Scraplauncher will be opening up with the blasting shots. But as you can see here, it's not really doing much damage. Okay, let's check out this shot. One of the 3 projectiles actually landed inside the formation, and the damage is basically abysmal. Did like what? Less than 10% of the total HP damage? Now the Scraplauncher's projectiles are supposed to be anti-armor, anti-infantry, but for some reason it's not working here. Barely making a dent in my opponent's infantry front line. Another shot comes in, and well, again, barely a dent. I would have to say that Scraplauncher, with all those shots coming in and just not doing much damage onto my opponent's army, they are not really Scraplauncher, more like Craplauncher. Can't even deal enough damage to their supposed targets. So I have to rely on the rest of my army to basically fend off all these cornered infantry, as my Scraplauncher is just continuously missing. My best hope to killing off all these cornered armor now lies on the back of these Man-Eaters with Ogre Pistols shooting up the armored cornered warriors, but the fact that I do not have enough mobility to counteract all these Fleshhounds leave my missile units extremely exposed, allowing the Fleshhounds charging into the backs of the Man-Eaters and even catching my Gnoblar Scraplauncher, who is doing really minimal damage. Multiple shots in, around 2/3 of the ammo used, and well, only 200 damage? Actually, barely over 100 gold damage. I do not even know what to say about it. Anyways, the rest of the frontline engaging the dual weapons Ogre Bulls are trying their best to hack through all these cornered halberds, but the combination of anti-large frenzied warriors plus the Spawn of Khorne pushing in, destroying all my Gnoblars, and now the Ogre Bulls are taking way too much damage. I try to dump in a little fist in there, doing some nice damage to the warriors of Khorne, but it's just not enough, and the Gnoblars and the Ogre Bulls will be bricking. While on this flank, we have the Mournfang Cavalry trying to fend off both units of Fleshhounds. They should be able to win this fight, but it is pulled out of position, way out, unable to support the backline, as they have now overchased all the way to the edge of the battlefield, leaving my backline exposed. While at the back, my Man-Eaters are desperately trying to relocate their position, pulling back and trying to shoot up any threats nearby, while the Hunter will be shooting using some of its ammo and now pushing in, hoping to support the now crumbling front line. While the army ability, one of the bombardment spell, is being used, trying to do some damage to the infantry block, but only hitting some of the summoned bloodletters, as my opponent has destroyed my front line and their infantry freed up, able to maneuver their way out of the bombardment. And all my units are scattered around the battlefield, leaving my Man-Eaters extremely exposed to the push of all these bloodletters and cornered warriors. While in the front line, my leadership has been killed by a combination of cornered halberds as well as Herald of Khorne. The Scraplauncher has been silenced for a long time now by the cultists and the Fleshhounds. So at this point, I don't really have any options to pull back this game. My man-eaters are now being tied down, surrounded by multiple flesh hounds. The Iron Guts are being pushed off. The only surviving hero unit is being slowly killed by the surrounding cornet units. I basically lost the ability to pull back the game with my opponent still having an overwhelming force of infantry and all their heroic units intact. And yeah, that's basically for my whole army here, as all my units are routing. The Gnoblar Scraplauncher, despite using quite a bit of the ammo, it's a disappointment of a performance. I'm not even mad about the poor damage it dealt. I'm just utterly disappointed. Either it's by some random ridiculous RNG that screw up all those splash attacks, or the Gnoblar Scraplauncher has a questionable performance in terms of damage output. And in the end, you can say that the Ogre Kingdoms don't get to have dinner tonight, while the Cornet army has reaped a bloody toll. So just want to say a big thanks to Rocket Row for playing this replay. I know that my build of the Ogre army is not the best. Not only do I not bring the strongest unit, but also the unit composition might not be the greatest against the Cornet army. Now, with the lack of mobility, the lack of saber-toothed cats to deal with all those flesh hounds and whatnot, my backlines were being totally tied down by all the flesh hounds, the Scraplauncher, and the man-eaters. The man-eaters did some decent damage, but still, being hunted down by the flesh hounds made most of their firepower useless. While the front line, despite having the anti-infantry, the dual weapons, Ogre Bulls, were no match for the Cornet Halberds, especially when the Gnoblars are being wrecked by all those spawns and the Chaos Warriors combined. And for the hero units, we have the Hunter doing some okay damage, but not really a great single entity fighting power, while the Great Mole, the Slaughter Master, got pretty much surrounded by single entities and just got killed in combat. The Mournfang Cavalry did some decent damage against some of the Flesh Hounds, but in the end being pulled out of position, unable to protect the backline. The function of these anti-large cavalry were not fulfilled, allowing my man-eaters and Scraplaunchers to be focused down, but still, the biggest disappointment in this game is definitely the Goblin Scraplauncher unit, getting only 3 kills, less than 200 value, and that's because it went into melee, is absolutely an utter disappointment. The splash attacks, most of them actually missed the formations of the Cornet Warriors. That's probably part of the RNG issue, but also the projectiles themselves doesn't seem to do a lot of armor-piercing damage against the Cornet infantry, leading to a rather low damage output despite the Cornet Halberds have to march all the way to the front line, receiving some rather nasty bombardment throughout the process. So yeah, honestly, it seems that, at least in this battle, the Scraplauncher does not fulfill its role and probably needs some adjustment either in terms of deployment strategy or maybe even the unit itself. Of course, I probably still have to test it out a few more times throughout different combat, but due to the hardship of finding land battles these days, it will probably take some time. Now for the Cornet army, we have the Cornet cultists not doing a lot of damage. Their role is to mostly summon bloodletters after all, while the Herald of Khorne, providing those melee attack buffs is really crucial, and he himself is a great melee combatant, able to snipe out my Slaughter Master, while the Cornet Halberds extremely well suited for this engagement for up against ogres because they can beat off Gnoblars as well as ogre infantry alike, while the Spawn of Khorne provides a rather unbreakable anchor to tie down enemy units, push off Gnoblars, and also deliver a decent punch against the lightly armored ogres. And the Flesh Hounds, of course, they are also the MVP of the game, getting some massive value throughout the game. These two were fighting a bunch of man-eaters, grabbing a lot of value. And due to the low armor on the man-eaters, these high weapon damage Cornet Flesh Hounds can do some really cost-effective damage, especially when they get the charge onto the rear of the man-eater units. And yeah, that's basically it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you do, remember to hit the like and subscribe to get notified, stay up to date to any new videos of the channel. And if you want to showcase any replay, feel free to send me an email with the replay file attached, or drop the file on my Discord channel, and I'll be sure to check them out. And yeah, that's basically it for today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Tactical Lich, signing out.